While Kevin was setting up the deal with Tyler, all the Joneses were rushing to the family mansion. Grandma Jones was sitting in the big chair in the middle of the room looking despondent. Oliver was standing in front of everybody looking fearful and very ashamed. "So, Oliver, where did your friend go?" Grandma Jones asked him sharply. Usually the Joneses would mutter to each other, but they were beside themselves this time. One of his cousins shouted, "Where's all the money you promised?" Another one yelled, "Unbelievable! You lost everything in just one night." The crowd looked like they wanted to eat him alive. "Please don't worry," Lily said in a panic. "My dad has already called the police. They'll track him down soon." Dorothy anxiously tried to appeal to them, saying, "We're all family. Let's talk about this peacefully. As long as we find him, we'll get our money back." But their pleas fell on deaf ears. The family was too furious with Oliver right now. Grandma Jones gave Oliver a sad look and said, "You've really disappointed me." The discussion turned to the next step they would take. Having lost all their liquid assets, the family was on the brink of ruin. And it was so much money, over $100 million, that there was no way Oliver could ever pay them back by himself. It looked hopeless. If Grandma Jones hadn't been in the room, they might have gotten violent. "Mom, I really had no idea it would turn out like this. I transferred the money to my friend last night, but I couldn't contact him this morning," Oliver explained. Of course, Oliver had been fooled, but the family didn't believe his explanation. As they became more and more emotional, a few of them started rolling up their sleeves. They looked like they wanted to take a swing at Oliver, whether Grandma was there or not. Just then, everyone turned to the entrance as it was announced that Bella Ortez and Eugene Kim had arrived. They were financial partners with the Jones family. There were also some Jones Enterprise clients who wanted to speak with them. This was too important, so they all came straight to the mansion instead of waiting to meet in the corporate office. Before anyone could react, the large group entered the Jones mansion's main hall, where it was obvious that Oliver had just been called on the carpet. Bella Ortez was the first to speak. She said glumly, "I'm sorry to inform you that our board just had an emergency meeting. We've decided to end our association with your company." Grandma Jones was shocked. She asked Bella, "Why would you do that? We've been working together for so many years." Before Bella could say anything, Eugene Kim followed suit and said, "It looks like President Ortez is trying to spare your feelings, so she hasn't told you the real reason that we need to end our relationship with your company." Kim got straight to the point. "We have a reliable report that the Jones family's corporation has been cheated out of all its assets. To put it bluntly, we do not want to be drawn into your bankruptcy. We hope that you can see this is purely a business decision." Grandma Jones' lip quivered as she replied, "President Kim, you've gone too far. Our situation isn't as desperate as you think. Can you please reconsider?" Bella responded to this request with a directness that left no room for doubt. "I'm sorry, but we have no choice. According to our contract, we are requesting only our initial outlay of funds." As soon as she finished speaking, the rest of the group spoke up to request their capital too. They realized that the Jones family would be unable to repay them, and the discussion turned to selling off the Jones family's real estate holdings, including the mansion. The Joneses knew that they were ruined and started arguing with their former partners and clients. Suddenly, Grandma Jones slammed the table hard and shouted, "That's enough! What's the point of arguing? All that we're asking is clearly laid out in our contracts. We have no choice now that the Jones family and your corporation are now—" Bella Ortez didn't finish her sentence, but everyone understood what she meant. Grandma Jones let out a long sigh. "President Ortez, President Kim, don't worry. We will definitely reimburse you. But can you please give us a few days? After all, we've been business partners for many years, and we need some time to raise such a large sum of money." "Agreed. Out of respect for you, Mrs. Jones, we will give you 5 days." After saying this, Bella turned around and walked towards the door. Before leaving, President Kim added, Mrs. Jones, doesn't your granddaughter's husband know Mitchell Cook and Adriana Wright? Perhaps you can ask them for help. Remember, if we don't see our money in 5 days, there will be serious consequences for all of you." After they had all left, Grandma Jones sat back in her chair and rubbed her temples. How could they raise over $50 million in just 5 days? At the same time, they were also trying to track down the $100 million that had been stolen by Oliver's friend. It didn't look good. Not to mention the fact that they had no idea if Mitchell Cook and President Wright would even agree to help them. Even though they obviously had great respect for Kevin, it was impossible for Grandma Jones to ask them for help. That's when someone suggested, "Why don't we ask Kevin to approach Mr. Cook and President Wright for us?" This seemed to be their only solution, but nobody knew if it would even be possible. They certainly weren't on good terms with Kevin right now, to say the least. As they were discussing their limited options, a striking-looking man in a dark suit walked in. The man slowly walked to the middle of the room and said, "I'd like to speak with Mrs. Victoria Jones." "I'm Mrs. Jones. May I ask who you are?" Grandma asked with a slight frown. She didn't recognize the man, so she was fairly certain that he wasn't someone who was currently doing business with the Jones family. The man replied in a friendly tone of voice, "My name is Tyler Dawn. I'm the CEO of the KWTD Corporation." As soon as he finished speaking, the room became filled with an excited buzz of conversation. This was a shocking development. Everyone in the entire country had heard of the KWTD Corporation. They also knew that the company president, Tyler Dawn, rarely showed his face in public. He was a very private man. Grandma Jones was stunned. She had never expected to meet such a famous business tycoon, especially right here in the Jones mansion. Tyler was unimpressed by their reaction. The Jones family didn't have the best reputation in Chicago, but he trusted Kevin, so he continued to be pleasant to them. If his friend hadn't asked him this favor, he was pretty sure he wouldn't even be talking to Grandma Jones. "Mr. Dawn, what brings you here today?" Grandma Jones asked nervously. While they were talking, some of Tyler's assistants walked in and one of them brought over an empty chair for him to sit in. Tyler sat down and casually explained, "Grandma Jones, I hope you don't mind if I call you that. Please don't be nervous. I came here to discuss a joint venture that should be profitable for all of us." Everyone became excited when they heard him say this. "Mr. Dawn, how do we fit into your plans?" Grandma Jones was starting to get a little short of breath. With the help of the KWTD Corporation, the Jones family would be able to easily pull out of this crisis, and she wouldn't be forced to ask Kevin for help. "It's very simple. I know that you currently have no available funds, so I'm prepared to invest $300 million to set up an import-export company in Chicago," Tyler explained. As soon as he finished saying this, everyone looked at him enthusiastically. "What are your conditions, Mr. Dawn?" Grandma Jones asked him somberly. Except for the fiasco with Oliver's investment, she wasn't usually very trusting. This sounded too good to be true. "The conditions are actually very simple. All you would have to do is handle the day-to-day activities of the company. In exchange, I only want 60% of the Jones family shares," Tyler said casually. "You know that you're in a dire situation. $300 million would not only pay off your debt, but put you in a position to expand your family's business." For a moment, the entire room fell silent. Grandma Jones thought long and hard before answering. "Mr. Dawn, you understand the situation perfectly. However, don't you think that the conditions are a bit extreme?" "Grandma Jones, you know very well that the family's assets are worth $300 million, Tyler said very seriously. "This is a very fair offer. If you can't accept my conditions, then I'll move on. I'm sure there are people in Chicago who would be willing to sign on with KWTD." Without waiting for Grandma Jones to speak, Tyler continued. "To be honest, I could easily walk away from this deal. I run a business, not a charity. You have 3 minutes to consider my offer." Everyone in the room turned and stared at Grandma Jones. They all knew that without this opportunity, they would be finished. Grandma Jones gritted her teeth and replied hesitantly, "All right, Mr. Dawn, I agree to your conditions." Suddenly, the room broke into lively debate. Some of them were against it. They knew Tyler was taking advantage of them. But they also knew that they were facing liquidation and bankruptcy. If they didn't jump at this offer, it would just go to someone else. "Stop!" Grandma Jones shouted. "I've decided. The discussion is closed." "A wise decision," Tyler said. "I'll have my attorneys draw up the contract and arrange for the transfer of funds." Tyler walked out, followed by his assistants. 20 minutes later, while riding in his limousine, Tyler read through the contract and financial plan on his laptop. Then he pulled out his phone and called Kevin. "Kevin, everything's been set up according to your instructions. $300 million for 60% of the shares in the Jones Family's Corporation," he reported coolly. "Thank you, Tyler. I hope this goes well for you," Kevin replied calmly. "If you don't have anything else, I won't take up any more of your time." After saying this, Tyler hung up the phone. Kevin took a moment to think about what he had just done. He put his phone in his pocket and headed for the exit. Just as he walked out of the Whistler Hotel, a black car pulled up in front of him. Two men dressed in black suits quickly got out of the car and called to him. "Mr. Williams, our employer would like to meet with you." "Dominic Archer?" Kevin raised his eyebrows and asked. "Please come with us." The men in black didn't answer Kevin's question. They opened the rear door of their limousine and gestured for him to get in. Kevin shrugged and got into the car. As they drove along, Kevin thought back on a question he'd asked Cook just last night. He was wondering how Dominic Archer compared to Drake. As it turned out, most of Drake's strength came from having Cook's support. However, Dominic Archer was different. He relied on his own strength. So Drake and Dominic were pretty much equal. Half an hour later, they arrived at a luxurious mansion. When Kevin entered the foyer, he saw Dominic stretched out on a sofa in the library. "Glad you could make it," Dominic said as he glanced at Kevin. "Mr. Archer, I don't understand why you've called me here so early in the morning," Kevin asked candidly. "I know I can be a little headstrong, but in our family we know how to repay kindness. You really helped my sister yesterday, so I'd like to give you something." Dominic Archer stood up and motioned for one of his aides to place a box in front of Kevin. "Yesterday at President Wright's party, my sister and I could tell that you're interested in the miraculous benefits of herbal medicine." Dominic walked over to Kevin and opened the box. He said, "We have connections with a research lab that is developing some very powerful herbal ingredients. I believe that you'll find the contents of this box extremely helpful." "Really?" Kevin replied. He was surprised at this turn of events. "Then I guess I should say thank you," Kevin said quietly. Dominic Archer waved his hand and said, "No need to thank me. I'm just returning the favor." Kevin looked in the box for a few seconds and then said, "I would never have expected the two of us to have something in common." But he couldn't help wondering what else Dominic may want from him.
Hi guys, Kevin here. Listen to full episodes of Insta Empire exclusively on the Pocket FM app. Click the link in the description to install the app now.